My name is Angie. I have all the letters in my last name. Niestuchowski-Rowden, but you can just call me Ange for short. It's fine. Just wanted to talk to you guys today about a little bit of container gardening and or fun with foliage. So, doing container planting demonstration this time of year can be a little difficult with the plant material that can be available because, as you guys know, greenhouse is cleaned out. You're like, yay! Don't want to have a whole lot of that around, but we're gonna have some fun with some stuff. Just have some get some good ideas for other things. Before I get started, as we were talking earlier about the Deco Max as a comparison to bubblegum, what's good about this is that it can fill things out. It can help fill voids. Grow like crazy. Don't have to have a whole lot of other things in it for color. Bad thing about that is it's aggressive. It can be a bully, right? So putting this in a pot along with maybe like an Uno or an Evo caliber coa, it's not going to have a chance, right? So getting to know the habits in the form of the plant material that you're purchasing and taking a look at some of those combos that they've already put together, because they've been trialing them. They've been testing out what pairs well together and what doesn't necessarily take over. And the ones that we have out there this year, there's a couple of them I think are really neat, and they have played well together, and I've been impressed with that. But just kind of going over a couple different things here. So for like holiday containers. Now the plant material I have in here was kind of hard to select. I tried to ask for greens this time of year. Everybody thought it was crazy. Like Ange Niestuchowski. No, but I just had to do a couple plants. So anyway, we got a couple really cute bell planters that are like this metallic gold. I've got a metallic red one over here as well. Feel free to take any pictures you want when we're done. We also have a metallic silver and black as well. And you'll be able to see those over in the Carlin booth. Another thing you'll see kind of throughout the trial garden this year, Western Pulp. We had a conversation last year at BuyerFest, and Western Pulp said, hey, can we sponsor your trial garden and have you grow in our containers? So we said, well, here's the thing. We grow them outside a warehouse. And we're a warehouse, guys. We don't have a greenhouse. You guys have the greenhouses, right? We don't have that. We have a facility outside. We do have irrigation run, but yeah, we don't have a greenhouse. We said these are grown on a gravel lot. We're gonna have to move them from Milwaukee and load them into a semi, unload them off in a semi, and display them here for you guys. Will they hold up? Because we don't want to unload them and have them fall apart. We said, I guarantee they'll hold up, and they did. So I've been pretty impressed with that. Also, the hanging baskets were also the Western Pulp also. If you talk to Ken Charbonneau over in the booth, he was talking about, I believe he said new for 26, they're going to start to wax the bottom of the basket, the hanging baskets, so that if you are starting them out on your wooden benches, to help from that being soggy. I was worried about, so we no longer have irrigation running up top, so it's just all ground. So I was worried for our hanging baskets, growing them just directly on the ground, not about them being sogged out or anything, but what I was worried about was, again, it's all on white limestone chip. I was worried about hanging these baskets looking beautiful and then you guys just looking at white, splashing. But so I put them on bench tops on the ground, so they just didn't have the white. But other than that, they were growing on the ground with a little bit of air movement under them, not much. Last year, the year before, we started carrying the jockey line. So these are really great. I love these. The troughs are new this year, so those are really cool. I've been enjoying those. Lightweight, 10-year limited warranty, but great for outdoor purposes, interior skate purposes, landscape purposes, and they don't have holes, so you will have to drill and use them outside, but great for interior purposes. The kind of display here, you can see the avenues are all perennials, and this is something that you would, put together all year long. No. But great for those events. So if you've got customers that are putting on a grand opening or an anniversary and you need to put something together and you're looking around your greenhouse like, okay, well, what do I got right now? Think outside the box, think of what you have blooming. And these all came from just down the road, a local perennial grower, Red Keys, and went through and just what was pretty right now and just kind of working those in. Let's see. So I think that's kind of that. So one of the plants I wanted to talk about that I don't think gets enough attention, and I really don't see it anywhere, but Wagner's does sell the plug for it, is Mahogany Splendor Maple Leaf Hibiscus. So this one, okay, it looks a little jerky because I literally was in my flip-flops this morning at 5 a.m. digging this out of my garden, so I apologize. But I apologize to you, mister, for pulling you up with your home. I've been growing this for years. I love using this. It's not known for its blooms. It can bloom in your greenhouse. You may see it bloom in the greenhouse before it goes out to your customers. It'll have a very dark burgundy bloom, but it's usually gone by the time your customers see it. It's mainly for, there we go. Okay. It's, I love it for the foliage. I love it for its height. This is my smallest one. That's why I chose this one because I knew it would wilt the least pulling it out of the ground. But I have them in pots, I have them in the ground, and grown them for years. It is an annual. But it'll say in the catalog 3 to 5 feet. I have them bigger than that in pots. Handles pruning well. So this is a great plant if you have to do bigger pots and you need some height, you need a centerpiece, maybe, you're looking for something different than a grass or, anything like that. Nice foliage, but I think, like I said, I've grown this for years. I always give some to my mom and my aunt, and my aunt just gets so excited. She was, I need that Japanese maple plant, the one that's annual. Are you going to grow that again this year, Angie? So of course I will. I'll have some extra for you. But do we have any questions on this guy? I start mine from seed, but I found out that that Wagner's sells the cutting of it. So when I had been talking about this plant with our PMAT team, I said, this is offered by Wagner's. So they offer the plug of this. I think it needs more attention than it gets. It's, again, great for those large pots outside malls, offices, municipalities, in beds. It works great. I got it both. I use it every year. I have it in beds and I have it in pots. But no, it's a great one to have. Is it edible? Don't know. I think as far as deer, I live in Milwaukee, so I don't have a whole lot of deer in my area, but I used to plant this in the River Hills area. Not much for deer pressure on this guy. Not too much. There's Japanese maple, or Japanese beetles, of course, but still, this year there hasn't been that many around here, around southeast Wisconsin. We haven't had too much pressure of those guys, but you will start to see treating on that. But other than that, as far as like disease or other insects or anything, pretty clean. When I used to work in the greenhouse, I used to grow this also. And when I was in the city of Milwaukee, we used to put some, boulevards and stuff like that because they get big, huge, and it's a nice statement piece. But I know people are asking, but for something with height, something that can grow quick, something with just a little bit of character. So I kind of want to show this off. Yeah.
We grow that too with pretty good success. You have better, stronger lateral branching than we typically see. Do you have a technique for that, or?
I turn it back. So as soon as I start to get about four true leaf branching going, then I prune it. So I prune it early on, and otherwise it's too hard to do. You don't want to do it. It breaks your heart. But yeah, I try to prune it early on, and then that seems to help with a lot of that. Especially if you don't do that, it's a really good point. If you don't on. Sometimes the storms can really snap them once they're out in the field. But even if it does snap a branch, there's another one growing just as quick. And I used to play with these outside balls and stuff like that when landscaping, and I would prune them back. If they got too big, I just kind of would prune them back hard, and they just kept keep going throughout the whole summer. Is it cold summer? No, not at all. But great one for the summer. Get you through. It's just a nice color throughout.
What was the name of it?
Maple leaf hibiscus, mahogany splendor. Do you guys grow a lot of them?
First year with them, we grew them from seed. Good success. Probably due to the spike shortage, but it helped give us some dimension and solve some problems for us. Yep.
Yeah, and with that spike shortage, that's one of the things I was recommending. I'm like, there's some other options out here that are pretty cool, and I'm seeing more and more. And I don't know what input you have from your customers' interest in foliage, and so that's kind of one of the things that I want to talk about. I mean, go on social media. There's begonia groups now. I mean, begonias have made such a turnaround, and I've got some beautiful ones here today that I think are just fun and spectacular. And I'm a sucker for polka dots, so why not? But even just incorporating there's some corabells in there with it. I love when it comes to designing with texture. I love using bold and then light and airy and kind of chaotic almost. You have stuff that is just kind of has the stature to it, and then you have something that's completely wild looking. And I love that. I love that contrast and the way that it can kind of help each other out in a container. Everyone, some of these guys inside here, we like to basket.
What's your thoughts on using like some typical house plant, like Tradescantia in an annual plant here to help get different textures or colors typically not seen?
I love using Tradescantia. That is a great one to use. Multi-versatile. You can use it in shadier areas. I've used it in hot, sunny areas. It's a great one to use. It handles it again. Another place I used to use that backwoods at walls because if it grows like crazy. So like if somebody lays a purse on top of it, breaks some branches, some other ones are going to be growing pretty quickly from there on out. So yeah, that's a great one. I do enjoy utilizing those as well. So one of the guys I'm going to put here in the center, I love using piercing. There's different varieties. This one's brilliantissima. I love that as it ages, the stems get just this beautiful neon pink. I think they're fun. Can be utilized in both, sun, part sun, shade. I love it. There's different varieties. This one gets around 10 to 12, so it wouldn't be too bad, in planting in the sky, but there's some that get quite taller and also can help fill in, just as like a backdrop. A lot of times I would plant them with maybe a nice impatient in front of it, or an impatient that kind of can really help draw that color. This little begonia, this one's super cute. I'm going to bring these by you guys so you can see. So the two different begonias I have up here today, one is silver spot and the other one is pink spot. It is really cute. I mean, yes, they have flowers, but that's not like this one is the silver spot. But if you guys are at our Milwaukee warehouse anytime soon, this summer, I planted another one that's like this. It's bigger. It's called My Special Angel. And it's so cute. The silver on the leaves is a little more predominant, but it's just kind of fun. It's kind of something a little bit different to draw your eyes to look at. And again, begonias have become quite popular again. The different varieties, finding something different. the Rexes, all of those are quite gaining popularity. Now I know last year, and I asked this question yesterday too, and I know this can be tough with spacing and availability and staffing, but how many of you guys offer classes at your facility? How do they work for you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, exactly. And if you have the space and the capability, it's worth it. Anybody you talk to that has the classes, because you had the big boom, right, in like 2020, people couldn't go anywhere, they're looking at their yards, what can I do, I want to spruce this up. 21, that team that was still going, it's still running strong. 22, yes. And now people are kind of like, okay, I've been at this a couple of years now, I don't really know what I'm doing. And by going to the classes, they're asking questions, they're learning. If you have a chance, and I know we're all busy, and it's hard to do, but if you can find someone on social media or on YouTube who's an influencer, I like to watch them while I'm making my breakfast in the morning and eating, even if I can only catch part of their video. The reason why I recommend watching them is because your customers are watching them. Your customers are listening to them. They're listening to Laura from Garden Answer, and they're coming in and like, okay, well, Laura planted this. Do you guys have it? Or Erin here in our backyard, a patient gardener. I love her sassy Midwest. She's just kind of like, yeah, that pile of weeds there. I'm still working on it. Don't worry. So we're gonna move over here, and but they're watching, and they're influencing them. So by having those classes, you become their influencer, and like, well, I know that my daughter's Girl Scout class, or Girl Scout troop had a class at ABC Greenhouse, and gosh, the ladies there, the guys there were so knowledgeable. I'm gonna go back. I had questions about this hydrangea I bought. I'm not sure what's going on. You become their go-to for those type of things. And when I was running the garden center, I don't recall, I think there was maybe one customer in all the classes, even the free classes I offered, where someone didn't purchase something. If you sell garden seeds in the spring, you got a little bit of room in your garden center, you can have maybe 10 people in, talk about seed starting. People want to know how to do that. They want to know how to grow their own vegetables that way. If you've got product that's already arriving, get some early spring sales out of it. Have them, have that stuff displayed nearby. Do a couple of vignettes so that's what they're looking at. Whenever I would do the educational classes at the garden center I worked at, I would always have behind me, I'd have things strategically placed. I'd have the new wind chimes over here, or I'd have the new garden art over here. So if I was being long-winded, like I can be, and I was losing people's attention, they're looking at something pretty behind me, and a lot of times they were purchasing that as a gift for someone else, and those are, that was sales in March for wind chimes. Before I started there and started doing those classes, we weren't selling wind chimes in March, but they arrived in March, and we had to start pricing them and getting them out. Might as well make some money on them and start getting some of that out the door. Then, as far as know, it can be a little hard to come by this time of year. That's kind of why I wanted to show just some stuff with mainly just foliage, getting some color out of that, some interest out of that, seeing what that looks like as well. And utilizing, you'll see that in some of these, utilizing some eucalyptus and other elements like that. I still, but when I would landscape, a lot of times I would install those in the spring for early spring arrangements, getting something else other than pansies and violas, something else to work into those planters to help fill them in. Other elements, a lot of people will ask, what do I do for height? In my spring planters, I was at a garden center this spring. They did not receive their fantail willow for Christmas until I think April. And they're like, well, we're going to bundle it up and try to sell it. I bought a bunch of bundles. I planted up our planters out front of our shop. I don't know how many people came and complimented. I think the folks at Dave Frank were asking, what is the beef jerky in your pots? I really like it. So yeah, fantail willow. It's fun. It gives some height. I know that time of year, especially if you have some customers that are like, oh, the pansies are bright, they're pretty and all, and it's spring, but I need something taller. And sometimes they have to be hard in spring because we're still dealing with, we're going to get hit with frost again. We're going to, so just incorporating these. For that garden center, like I said, they got a late shipment, and they decided, well, might as well try to sell them. They did, and so that works out. So kind of thinking outside the box, utilizing either stuff that maybe ships late, or you have it left over from Christmas, it didn't sell. Nobody says this is Christmas. I mean, you can use it. I think it's also fun to then again use in fall. It can be kind of spooky, it can be kind of fun working in with, some euchra and some either fall pansies or mums or kale. Does anybody have any questions? I don't. Oh, yeah, lunch will be here soon. So, again, if I'm still planting away, and you guys are hungry, and you want to go eat lunch, you're not going to hurt my feelings, I understand. Yeah.
I noticed these are annual. People put them into a greenhouse over winter, bring them out in the spring.
So the reason I wanted to utilize those is a great question. So sometimes we have things left over that didn't sell in the summer, and incorporating them into your fall planters. Instead of packing them up, getting them ready to overwinter, try incorporating them into fall planters as well. Some of them, yes, I would pull these out of storage early and start to kind of warm them up so that I can get them to be looking great for spring. Couldn't do too much to them, and so that I could use them in my spring planters as well.
But you could leave it technically in those pots.
You could, they don't tend to overwinter well in the pots.
Oh.
Yeah, and even if you use them in your fall planters, if your customers say, well, can I just plunk them into the ground? You could, but the chances are it's not going to have enough time to really set its roots. And we already know that a lot of the newer varieties can be, a little temperamental. The fun, funky colors can be a little temperamental here in southeastern Wisconsin for overwintering. Mulching them in always helps. I usually like mulch them in the winter. That's the success I have. And then going out in early spring, doing the push down. And when they start with the frost heating and thawing, they start to pop out of the ground. You start to see those crowns up. Advise your customers, go and push them down. It's kind of something fun to do. You don't have anything else to do that time of year out in the garden. You might as well go down and push down euchra. Which reminds me, the one year I decided, I was taking pictures because I wanted to show people what I'm doing. And I was pushing the corbels down, and I looked and I'm like, wait a minute. As I pulled them, I'm like, I started digging them out. I started pulling them apart. I had 3 of them. I pulled them apart. I got 17 plants out of the 3. And I thought, what am I going to lose? So I just started planting them around, and I think maybe lost 1. So that was kind of fun. I love to divide and propagate. I hadn't done that yet, so that was always learning something new. Always fun there. also one for, I know, and this makes a lot of people cringe. I'm not one for odds. You don't have to do 3. You don't have to do 5. You can. There's nothing wrong with it, but you don't have to limit yourself to that. And I had, when I was doing professional holiday decorating and I was designing, I had a manager who she encouraged me to. She actually had me disassemble some things. She's like, stop with the symmetrical and stop with the odds. And, you know, that's what you do. Like, I can't not think that way. That's just what I do. That's how I think. That's how I design. That's what I do. As soon as she broke me of that, it's such a different world now. If I feel like things you only need to have 2 of something, or maybe even 4 in a planter, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just how is that planter talking to me? How is that arrangement talking to me? And it's kind of fun. It's a lot more fun to be like, oh, I can only get 2 of these, and I wish I had 1 more to do 3. You don't have to. It kind of helps go outside the box a little bit and just makes it a little more fun and enjoyable. Any questions? Brandon, do you have a question? It's okay. Oh, I just started. So is everybody enjoying the show so far? Yeah? Did you guys get out to cash and carry? Get some goods out there? See, that's another thing that is nice. I have quite a few of my customers that they get those good deals out of cash and carry for their classes and workshops, getting that product at a, keeping the cost down, because that's part of it, getting your customers in the door and wanting to make sure that the classes are, affordable and so you can get that nice attendance.
What's the tall grass that you have in the?
Shenandoah. The ones flanking the other stage, the tall green ones, that one is Canicum Northwinds. Those are Northwinds. The other thing too, we talked about before, I talked about this last year and then the last session as well, especially when you're doing like fall plantings or early spring plantings. If you're doing these at residential or in pots for customers, anything like that, angle your plants. So planting, a corbel like this, okay, that's fine. It's gonna be just a little. Completely different look. Same thing with your mums. With your mums in the ground, you plant them like this, well, that's fine. The birds can see the blooms beautifully. Angle them just slightly, and then you're gonna have this nice view of the blooms. And some people ask, well, isn't part of the group all gonna be sticking out of the ground? You don't have to angle them that much, just enough. Same thing with your vines. So if some of your vines are a little on the smaller side, unlike this guy, this guy obviously you can just put right in, but if they are still a little bit on the shorter side, just tip them just a little bit when you put them in. Just gives a little more face, especially if you're just trying to throw together some containers with what you have left in the greenhouse, some stuff that you want to get moving. Hopefully, if you've got a big weekend coming up, want to get some stuff out. That's another way to do it. It gives it a nice full look without being fully grown yet. And the other thing I would really recommend, if you don't already do it, a slow release fertilizer. So the trial garden out here, we received our plugs mid-May, and they came as plugs. We planted them up into 9-inch lump pans, and I had some osmocote at the time of planting. again, don't have a greenhouse, we are a warehouse. It proceeded to rain for 2 weeks straight. And all I could think was, oh my gosh, you know, I can't fertilize them. I need these to look nice for you guys when you get here. And I just was like, well, at least they have some slow release fertilizer, and that helped. As soon as it's, you know, stopped raining, they were still being fed though. So the fact that I couldn't give them any water soluble fertilizer, they still were at least slowly getting some type of food for those roots. Now, I would also recommend just putting a little bit in your pots your bigger pot that you plant up as well. The reason being, you know your customers aren't going to fertilize them like you do, and having that little bit of slow release fertilizer helps keep them, gives them a little more nutrients, keeps it going. They're more likely to come back to you because they know whatever you do to your pots, you make them awesome and they last longer. So, and they keep blooming, and they're not sure why because I have such a black thumb, you know. So a lot of times it's just a little bit of fertilizer, but a little bit. I had some landscape friends order some Osmocote, and they ordered about 6 bags. I got a call the next day. We need more. What are you guys doing with everybody knows that they're not cheap. Osmocote's not cheap, but I mean, but a little goes a long way. So we do have scoops. So if you do buy Osmocote, ask us for the scoop. We'll send it along with your bag. But there are scoops that you can use and just have your crews use that. And when I was in landscaping, a lot of times I would pre-measure out bags and just hand out little Ziploc bags. So here you go. Here's yours for the day. Here's yours for the day. Just because it just a little goes a long way.